Guys, today we're going to be talking about some heavy duty stuff, and that is my student loan debt story. You are going to hear all of the ugly details and some of the mistakes I know that we made, some of the things I wish I had known or had done better. And if you stay till the end, you'll hear our plan to tackle that $249,000 student loan debt. Stay tuned for about 6 seconds. Hey everyone, welcome back to the House of Fi. I am Wendy and I'm one half of the House of Fi podcast. Today we are going to be doing the honest, ugly truth about my student loan debt. It's currently at about $249,000. It really hurts to say that number, but that's the truth of it. And at 49 years old, that just makes my heart, it's not a good feeling, but we have a plan, and that's something that we're going to be talking about today, but also the mistakes that I know looking back that I made, things I wish I had done better. So if you are just getting ready to go to school and are worried about student loan debt, this is going to be super helpful for you. And if you're like me and have the student loan debt and you just want to commiserate with someone, I'm here, I get it, I know, but also I want to give you hope that there are ways to address it. It's not easy, but you can. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. The bell, by subscribing and hitting that, you get notified of when we have a new video out so that you don't miss one. And you can maybe share it to someone who needs to hear what we have to say. We know that this financial independence journey can be long and hard sometimes, and that's why we're here. We're here to help moms and dads save more, spend less, and build wealth on the road to financial independence, and doing it while living a joy-filled life. That is what we are all about. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the numbers. $249,000. Oh, that's a lot of money. Now these are the figures with all of the interest that has accumulated over the last 18 years. My undergraduate portion is at $88,000 and some change, and my law school portion is $160,000. Oh, it's so much money. Now, that isn't what I borrowed. It's been accruing almost $100,000 in interest, because when I first came out of in-school deferment, the undergrad was only at $62,000 only, and the graduate was only at $98,000. I chose to go to a private school where tuition was in excess of $30,000 a year. Yes, ridiculous. There are a ton of things that I would have done differently. Mistake number one, by far, and this is for all you moms and dads out there with kids who you're thinking about college, I did not fully understand or appreciate the ways that I could lessen the need for student loans. My family certainly didn't have the money. There was no money sitting around in a college fund for me, and my parents were not wealthy. So if I was going to go to school, I was going to have to find the money. And one day I learned about these things called student loans, and I really didn't know what I was doing. In high school, I really didn't get a whole lot of education about ways to reduce that, things like CLEP testing. And what those are is you can actually test out of certain college prerequisites, and so that you don't have to take those. It lessens the amount of classes that you have. And it's totally worth it. You pay a fee, you take the test, you pass, you're done. Also, I know some kids, some parents have their kids doing college courses while they're in high school, which I think is an excellent option. The number of classes that you can reduce translates automatically into saved money. Then of course there's grants and scholarships. I just didn't know what was out there. I didn't have anyone kind of guiding me to find what was out there. So if you don't know, find someone who does and look. There's so much money that's sitting around out there for people just waiting for someone to apply for it. The other thing that I think really doesn't get enough attention is community college. You can go to community college, get your prerequisites out of the way, you know, things like your English, your biology, your math, all of those things out of the way and done, and pay them with cash, and you're saving yourselves 2 and 3 years of tuition. It's a no-brainer. It is what my 18-year-old is doing. He can stay with us and not have to pay rent as long as he's in school. So he is getting 2 to 3 years of his college education out of the way so that he doesn't have to pay for it once he gets to, it's not added onto his student loans or any other, it significantly reduces the total cost of his college education. Additionally, knowing the difference between tuition costs. Some schools are private schools and their tuition is typically higher. Also, out-of-state schools, you're going to pay a higher tuition. So if you really want to go to an out-of-state school, maybe go to a community college there first, paying the lower fees, and then transfer to university, or finding a really good in-state school to go to so that you don't have to pay higher tuition. Every single state has really quality universities, and I will tell you, as someone who was a professional for a very long time, it almost never matters where you have gone to school as long as you get that degree. If you're going for those top tier sort of positions where a school matters, that's a different story, but you better be very certain that that's what you want to do. The two other things I think get overlooked very often is it's not maybe even necessary for you to go to a college. There's trade schools, maybe there's a profession that you're interested in that you don't need a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree for, and can make a lot of money. Plumbers, electricians, HVAC people can make 6-figure incomes by going to trade school, which is typically a lot less and a lot less expensive for you to go. And in that same vein, there's certificate programs. For instance, if you know who Grant Sabatier is, he's millennial, I think he's Millennial Money Man. I'll link him down below. But essentially, he had a degree that really wasn't very transferable and wasn't getting him a job once he graduated college, and so he decided to go on Google's website and get through some of the Google free programs and learn how to do some of these things, and has become a multimillionaire in the process. So there's a lot of certificate programs out there these days that will teach you a skill that will make you both attractive and employable, and get you started on a career really quickly. And then finally, there are lots of careers out there that do not require a degree, where you can make a very good living. I think that real estate is one of them. You don't need a degree or higher education to become a real estate agent. It's very competitive and you really have to enjoy sales. But it's also something where how much you make is purely limited by your own hustle. So there are tons of careers out there in real estate where you can make a very good living and not even have a degree. So it isn't always in your best interest to go to college if there's another path that will get you to where you want to be. College, and I think it's important to know that college is not The purpose of college is not for you to find yourself or for you to have the college experience. Trust me, in the grand scheme of things, that is not what's important. What's important is making a living and providing for your family. So having that mindset going in is super, super important. You can experiment on community college time and find yourself on community college time, but not when it's costing you thousands and thousands of dollars in tuition. Mistake number 2 was not fully appreciating the debt. I think one of the drawbacks to student loans is that the whole time that you're in school, they're in deferment. So they're this far off thing that you're not worried about. You get the money, you pay what you need to pay with it, and you don't have to worry about it for 4 to possibly even 8 years or more, depending on what your career is. But because of that, you don't fully appreciate that this is debt and it is coming due. And in some instances, it's accruing interest that whole time. Not always, but sometimes. So that was mistake number 2. Along those lines, mistake number 3 was taking way more money than I needed. You don't have to use all of your award. So if you're given $5,000 and your tuition is only $2,000 and you don't need the other amounts for living expenses or paying for books or anything like that, or you don't need all of it, put the rest back. Either give it back to the lender or put it in a savings account, but don't spend it. Don't take more. And then if it's in a savings account, you're letting that sit there and accrue interest, and then when it comes time to pay your student loans, you're making a really big lump sum payment. Mistake number 4 is really not being mindful of what you're spending that student loan money on. That student loan money is there to live on. It's not there to live it up on, right? And I know that we treated our student loans as like a windfall. We knew that student loan money was coming in. We knew we were gonna have, you know, a few grand extra, and what were we gonna buy with it? We were spending that money before we even got it. And that's not the purpose of your student loans. And that money has to be paid back, and it's going to be paid back with interest at some point. And so that was a huge mistake. Mistake number 5 for me was not taking advantage of loan forgiveness opportunities. Certain professions, public professions like police, fire, teachers, certain government workers are eligible for the public student loan forgiveness program, where if you are certified, you get the type of work signed off on and it's in the right type of loan. After 10 years of payments, the remaining debt is forgiven. It is taxable at that point, but it is a huge chunk. I was a criminal defense attorney, but I left the public defender's office because I wanted to have my own practice. And at the time, my thought process was, I'm gonna make a whole lot of money and I'll just pay off the student loans. Well, I still have those student loans. I didn't pay off the money. So I think it would have been, in the long run, much more beneficial for me to have maybe stuck it out with the public defender's office and had those student loans forgiven. For my husband, he will be taking advantage of those, and it's one of the reasons that we'll probably stay in California for a little while longer than we hit retirement, our FI number, so that he can take advantage of the public student loan forgiveness program. All right, guys, well, those are the five mistakes. We do have a plan now with how to address those student loans. As I just mentioned, for my husband's, which the balance I believe is at $111,000, we're going to get those forgiven with PSLF. For mine, and I'm gonna say there's a disclaimer right at the outset that what we're opting to do for me is not necessarily the plan for anyone else. This plan financially makes the most sense for us because of our age and the balance remaining on the student loans to pay. What we have opted to do, because I am not making very much income right now, is to keep the payment as low as possible, and we're going to use whatever money we would have put towards that student loan into a rental property, and then the tenants will, the rent income from those tenants will be what we use to make the payment. So we're cash flowing essentially those student loan payments indefinitely. Well, it's not really indefinitely. It's 20 years for the undergraduate loans and 25 years for the graduate loans. We have done the calculations and we come out ahead as far as what money is coming out of our pocket this way. Like I said, that is not what makes sense for probably most people. You need to do those calculations yourself. And I will also say that that plan might not make sense in 3 years if I'm making more income. So if, for instance, my House of Fi business starts making a few $1,000s or more a year, or not a year, a month, it may not make financial sense in the future, and we will reevaluate it at that time. Guys, so what do you think? Do you agree with those mistakes? Did I miss any? Are there any mistakes that you've had time to reflect on? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you've come up with any other additional plans to creatively attack your student loans, I'd love to hear those as well. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button and that notification bell so that you know when we have more videos coming out. Thank you for coming and listening to my confession. We are glad you are here, and please come back next week.